Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about academic writing and paraphrasing. Both of these skills are important because they make our writing stronger and more original. Academic writing is a formal style of writing that is used in schools and universities. It is clear, structured, and based on facts. We use academic writing to explain our ideas, share research, and communicate with others in a professional way. Here are some important reminders about academic writing. It's essential for us to remember that writing is a process. No one gets it perfect on the first try, and each assignment you complete is really practice for the next one. And writing takes time. Don't expect to sit down and finish everything in one go. Make sure to go through every step of writing process, from brainstorming, outlining, drafting, revising, and editing. As you begin, focus on your ideas first. You want to get your message across clearly before you worry about the finer details. So let your thoughts flow freely, and then later on, you can just shift your attention to grammar and spelling. Finally, don't forget to get feedback, whether it's from a peer, your instructor, or a tutor. Fresh eyes can help you spot areas for improvement that you might not see on your own. Now let's talk about what helps with the writing process. Starting from the pre-writing stage. First, it's important to talk to others. We learn from what we see, read, and hear. Sharing your ideas and discussing them with others can give you new thoughts and direction for your writing. Next, try brainstorming or free writing. This helps you get your ideas out without worrying about them being perfect. Just start writing and you can refine your thoughts later. Make sure you take good notes. Use a dedicated space like a notebook or document and write down any ideas or points that catch your attention. It's helpful to also respond to what others have written, noting how your ideas relate to theirs. Lastly, think of your writing as a conversation with other authors. How do your ideas connect to or differ from theirs? This will make your writing more thoughtful and engaging. So, what helps the writing process? These tips focus on drafting and refining your work. First, ensure that your statement of intent or thesis is always visible while you're writing. This keeps your focus sharp and helps you align with your arguments with the main point you want to make. You can either write it at the top of your document or keep it as a sticky note near your workspace. Next, try using a reverse outline. Sometimes we want to start drafting without an outline and lose the track of our structure. A reverse outline is made after writing by identifying the main points in your draft and organizing them into an outline. This technique helps you check if the structure and the flow of your draft makes sense. Remember, your first draft doesn't need to be perfect. Perfectionism can often cause writer's block. Instead, focus on your ideas down on a paper. You can always edit it later. It's about progress, not perfection. Finally, read your work aloud. Hearing your writing helps you catch awkward phrasing, grammar mistakes, and improve the overall readability. This is especially helpful when you are trying to revise for clarity and flow. Academic writing, like any other skill, requires careful planning and attention to detail. Let's walk through the key stages of this process. Number one, preparing to write or pre-writing. This is where your ideas begin to take shape. It involves three main activities. Read and research is the first step to gather information from various sources to deepen your understanding of the topic. Once you have done your research, take some time to brainstorm ideas. This will help you organize your thoughts and identify the key points. Based on your research and ideas, now develop a working thesis. Then you can structure your points into an outline to guide your writing. Number two, write a rough draft. With your outline in hand, it's time for you to write your rough draft. Don't worry about the perfection at this stage, just write your ideas on paper. Number 3. Revising and editing. It includes review for the content to check whether your ideas are clearly expressed and supported with evidence. Revise rough draft to make structural changes, add details, or eliminate anything unnecessary. Finally, review for grammar, punctuation, and formatting. Number 4. Review and revise as needed. It's important to keep refining your work, but also to know when it's time to stop. Aim for clarity, coherence, and correctness, but remember that no piece of writing is ever perfect. At some point, you must decide that it's complete. By following these steps, you can turn a blank page into a well-structured, polished academic writing. Here are some academic conventions. First, let's talk about what to do. Address both sides of an argument. This helps demonstrate that you're considering the full picture and not just one perspective. Use a formal tone. In academic writing, professionalism is crucial, so avoid casual language. Take a stand. Be clear about your argument or position and make sure it's evident where you stand. Use concrete details. Support your points with specific examples, evidence, or data. This makes your argument strong. Give yourself time to develop your paper. Writing a solid academic paper requires careful thought and revision. Don't rush the process. Now, let's move on to what to avoid. Avoid using personal pronouns like I, we, and you. Academic writing is usually objective and impersonal. Avoid contractions. Instead of writing isn't it, say is not. It's more formal and appropriate for scholarly work. Avoid slang. Keep the language academic and professional. Avoid a personal tone. Your opinions should be backed by evidence, so avoid making the writing feel personal. Avoid vague ideas. Be specific in your arguments and explanations. And finally, avoid plagiarism. Always give credit where it's due by citing your sources correctly. Now, let's talk about paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is when we take someone else's ideas and rewrite them in our words. It helps us so that we understand the ideas while avoiding plagiarism, which is copying someone else's ideas without giving them credit. Paraphrasing is an essential skill in academic writing. Paraphrasing involves taking a passage that is borrowed from a source and rewriting them in your words. The key here is that while you are using your own words and sentence structure, you must remain true to the original author's idea. Remember, paraphrasing is not just about switching out a few words for synonyms. You need to truly understand the meaning of the passage and then explain it as if you were describing it to someone else without changing its core message. Let's go over 5 simple steps to paraphrase an author's idea. Step 1. Read the text. First, read the original text carefully to understand the main idea. Step 2. Remove the text. Take the text away from your view to avoid copying it directly. Step 3. Explain the idea out loud. Try explaining the idea in your own words out loud. Repeat step 1 to 3 if you need more clarity. Step 4. Write or type the explanation. Write or type out your explanation of idea in your own words. Step 5. Return to the original text. Finally, check the original text again to make sure your paraphrase is accurate, especially names, numbers, and spellings. If you appreciate an idea or concept, it's important to put a citation on it. This means summarizing the idea in your own words and making sure to provide proper credit to the original author. Even if you paraphrase, you need to cite the source. Paraphrasing doesn't remove the need for citation. It simply means you're expressing the idea differently. Don't forget to cite ideas, figures, and numbers. This not only shows respect for the original work, but also helps your readers trace back to the source of your data. Lastly, ensure you close the book or source before taking notes. This practice helps you process the information and avoid unintentional plagiarism. Here's an example. The original text here says that the new modern narratives were overwhelmingly secular works, written by a diverse array of printers, hack writers, sentimental poets, lawyers, and even murderers themselves, who were displacing the clergy as the dominant interpreters of the crime. This text here discusses how modern narratives shifted from the religious to secular interpretations. When paraphrasing, it's important to maintain the original meaning while expressing it in your own words. Here's one way to paraphrase the text. The modern stories that were developing were almost always secular works that were written by many different sorts of people. Printers, hack writers, poets, attorneys, and sometimes even the criminals themselves were writing the modern stories. They were the new interpreters of the crime, replacing religious leaders who had held that role before. Notice how the paraphrased version simplifies the original language and restructures the information while preserving the core idea. Let's practice some paraphrasing. Question: what is the goal of paraphrasing? Option A: to critique or analyze a claim made by a writer. B: to give a brief statement about the main point of an article. Or option C: putting a specific writing passage into your own words. What do you think? Which is the correct option here? If you choose option C, then you're correct. Paraphrasing means putting a specific writing passage into your own words. It's not about analyzing or summarizing. Writers paraphrase to help the writer better understand the material, allow their own voice to shine through their writing, help them from quoting too much, all of above. If you choose option D as the correct answer, then you're right. The correct answer is all of above. Because paraphrasing helps the writer to understand the material better as they put it into their own words. It allows their unique voice to come through in their writing. It also helps avoid quoting too much. It can make the writing less original. Which of the following is true? Paraphrasing involves restating, rewording, rewriting, all of above. What do you think the answer is? If you answer D, all of above, then you're absolutely right. Because paraphrasing means you do all the three things. You restate the idea, reword it, and rewrite it in a new way. Which of the following is right? Paraphrasing allows us to avoid instructor feedback, plagiarism, having to think critically, identifying the main point. Take a moment to think about which of these options paraphrasing helps us avoid. If you choose option B, plagiarism, then you are correct, because paraphrasing helps us avoid the plagiarism by putting someone else's ideas into our own words while still giving the credit. It doesn't mean we skip the instructor feedback to stop and think critically or ignore the main point. So, what is plagiarism? Academic misconduct, not citing your sources, cutting and pasting from the internet directly to your paper, all of above. Take a moment and think about it. And if you choose option D, all of above, then you're right. Because all these actions fall under the umbrella of plagiarism. It's important to understand and avoid them to maintain academic integrity. Which of the following option is correct paraphrase to the quote by Jay-Z? I've never looked at myself and said that I need to be a certain way to be around a certain sort of people. I've always wanted to stay true to myself and I've managed to do that. People have to accept that. If you choose option A, then you're correct. Because option A provides a detailed and accurate paraphrase of Jay-Z's quote. It captures the essence of staying true to oneself and emphasizes the importance of self-authenticity while clearly stating that acceptance from others is their responsibility. While conveying a similar message, option B is slightly less detailed and does not fully encapsulate the depth of the original code. So option A is the correct answer. Let's take a look at this quote from Post Malone. As an artist, it's never really enough. You always want to strive to get bigger and better and push the limits of what you can actually do. Let's take a look at this one of the example summary. You can create your own summary and discuss it with your friends. While creating your own summary, please remember these key points. Copy no more than 3-4 words in a row. Make sure you have copied no more than 20% of the original language. Remember, you must change the structure of the original and as many words as possible. Let's take a look at this paraphrasing exercise. We are given an original statement about the nurse burnout and 2 paraphrases to evaluate. The original statement talks about the nurse burnout, which includes feeling tired, unmotivated, and having less effective work. We are given with 2 options. Option A says that nurses feel tired and unmotivated, leading to decreased work performance. This is a simplified version and doesn't fully capture all the aspects of burnout. Option B explains that reduced energy is a common cause of burnout and describes various effects like lack of motivation, stress, and emotional fatigue. If you choose option B, then you're right. Option B is the best paraphrase because it accurately reflects the original meaning and details. The reduction in nurses' energy levels is known to be common cause of nurses burnout. It can manifest in various forms including lack of motivation, stress, and emotional fatigue. Here is another exercise for paraphrasing. You can just pause the video and work on it. Maybe you can work with a partner. Here is an example to get you started. This example captures the essence of the original quote but uses different wording. Look at the quote on the screen. You can pause the video or take a screenshot if you need. Your task here is to paraphrase the quote using your words. Work with a partner to discuss and come up with your paraphrase. Here is an example to get you started, but please know that there are many possible answers and you can paraphrase the way you want.